What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Automated, episode number 10. My name is John Levesque, and I am your host. I'm joined by Kent Ware and Pranav Rastogi. You know them very well by now. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. It's Monday morning. I've just woken up. I'm attempting to bring as much energy as I can. How about you, Pranav? How you doing?
It was good, man. It
Good,
was
good,
the
good.
Seahawks game last night.
Did they win or lose?
Oh man.
Oh,
That
oh, not
was
good. Okay, that we won't go further there. We are joined
I
today by a very special guest, Manuela Piekler. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm very good. It's already afternoon for me, so I've got the Monday morning blues behind me.
Excellent, excellent. So, for those on the show who might not know you, why don't you take a second, introduce yourself, talk about what you do on the team, and then what you'll be teaching today.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Manuela. I'm part of the PowerApps Custom Advisory team. My focus is mainly working with our marquee customers and helping them accelerate their adoption of the Power Platform. A huge focus of mine is administration and governance, making sure that central IT teams are comfortable with the admin capabilities of the platform and then are able to scale the adoption further across the organization. So kind of that finding that balance between governance and adoption, where governance is not the end goal, but it's the key to unlock further adoption and getting value out of the platform.
Nice. That's important stuff. If Manuela's not talking to everybody, then they're over there trying to figure out how to turn off the platform. She's doing key work to make sure that people can govern and keep all of the citizen developers in business. Awesome. Okay, so what are you showing us today, Manuela?
So part of the work that I'm doing is something called the CoE Starter Kit. It's a templatized implementation of best practices. So everything that we've seen work well in other customers that have adopted the platform at scale. Some of them have used tools or have used the platform itself to implement governance and administration. And we've taken some of those learnings and put them into a solution called the CoE Starter Kit, and that is available for customers to install and leverage to use those tools as well to help them along their adoption journey. So I'll walk through some of the capabilities there, give a brief overview of what the CoE Starter Kit is, and then specifically dive into some of the UI flow capabilities that we've recently introduced. So we've made UI flow part of those admin capabilities that we've got in the kit, and I want to show those off today as they are relatively new.
Very cool. Okay, awesome. Well, the show is yours. You are able to share, and we are looking forward to check this out.
Right. So like I've said, the CoE Starter Kit is a templatized implementation of best practices. So you've got the existing offering of what's available in the admin center, and then ability via PowerShell commandlets, for example, or the management connectors to extend that yourself. The CoE Starter Kit is really there to lend a helping hand, so you don't have to start from scratch with the customization efforts that you're undertaking as you adopt the platform and as you develop a strategy for platform adoption in your organization. So it's really it's a solution that contains apps, flows, a dashboard, etc. Everything that's kind of aimed to be a template and provide a starting point for your governance and administration.
Nice. So it's a good way to get a view into exactly what's happening where and from who and all that. Shows you what connectors you're using and who's using it, all that goodness, right?
Exactly, yeah. So there's a
Cool.
few building blocks that come as part of the CoE Starter Kit, a huge focus obviously on admin, being able to give the administrative persona a holistic tenant-wide overview of what is going on in their tenant, who is building apps, who is building flows, what connectors are they using premium capabilities, how heavy are some of these applications used, are some of them maybe overused, or how unused are they, to be able to kind of remain keep a tidy tenant by cleaning up some of those unused resources, all of those Contoso device ordering applications that people completed during their app in a day training, for example. And then there's the two building blocks of governance and nurture. Really, the aim is to make the communication between a maker and an admin easier. So to be able to perform risk assessments, drive discipline by communication with the maker, of informing them of some of their complex or unused resources and suggest ways to tidy those up. As well as being able to identify orphan resources where the maker has left the organization and being able to assign them to a new maker. And nurture is really focused on kind of the next step in that adoption journey, where you want to share best practices with your makers, you want to onboard new makers, and you want to create a thriving community of people that are excited about using the platform. And then something that we've also recently introduced is the ability to create enterprise branded themes and be able to share them with your makers. So that's something that's obviously very focused on Canvas apps experiences.
Very cool. I actually didn't know about the whole like final step there, this theming part, creating and sharing enterprise branded themes. Very neat.
Yeah, it's something we've recently introduced. It's a big ask from some of our customers, and something that the platform doesn't yet support. So this is kind of again helping them get started with creating that enterprise consistent look and feel across Canvas applications.
Love it.
So when are we going to see the John Levesque theme being available on GitHub there, John?
Yo, you know what's funny is I'm working on some branding material right now. I should put one together. Is that where they live on GitHub? People can put them on GitHub and use them, or is that just where I should put mine?
It's you probably would want yours in just your environment. We've just created the ability for you to create a theme.
Okay, nice. I'm gonna have to play with that.
Just give me 1 second. I'll need to bring up the documentation again.
And I guess one thing that would be a differentiator between this and what exists out of the box would be that when we're in the Power Platform Admin Center, we typically see things on a per environment basis. But using the CoE Starter Kit allows us to really aggregate that information across all of those environments and roll it up to a tenant. And so that would be one of the sort of key differentiators between what you might find in the existing Admin Center and the CoE Starter Kit.
Yes, absolutely. So the goal is really to give that admin that deep dive ability to see what's going on in their tenant, and also a much richer filter and sort experience, so they can really tailor the reports to their own needs. So I've just brought up the documentation of the CoE Starter Kit, because everyone loves good documentation. So you can find that under aka.ms CoE Starter Kit. And that's really where you find how to set up the CoE Starter Kit. So it's shipped as a solution. So you have to import that into an environment and set it up from there. So the setup steps are described here step by step. So it's kind of easy for you to follow along. But then also, if you don't have the CoE Starter Kit at the moment and you're trying to decide if it's right for you, all of the different components of the CoE Starter Kit are explained here in detail, so you can get a good overview of what comes with the kit. There's a video for each of the components that I've highlighted on the slide earlier, so you can watch kind of a 5-10 minute video to get an overview, and you can then dive really deeply into the ebbs and flows that come with the CoE Starter Kit. So there's one that helps you set bulk update permissions for flows. So for example, if you need to add a secondary owner, or for applications, if you need to change the owner. So those are some of the things that are part of the CoE Starter Kit overall, and all of the components are explained here, so you can make a decision on if that's right for you. But enough with documentation and slides. Let's jump into a demo of the dashboard that comes as part of the CoE Starter Kit. So I've got that open in Power BI desktop. We provide a Power BI template file that you connect to your environment, and it then brings up all of the inventory and some telemetry information of resources in your tenant. So you start off at the overview, and if we look at the overview for flows, this is some of the information that you get. So you get your top environments, your top makers, the total number of flow makers you've got, and as well as the total number of flows and UI flows that you have in your environment. So at a quick glance, you've got a good overview of resources in your tenant and who those makers are. And then obviously you could sort that here by top UI flow makers. And in my tenant, someone called Lydia is a top maker for UI flows and doing relatively good on flows as well.
Pranav, look at you, top 3.
I'm right
Yeah.
there, number 2, man.
I was kind of
I made
disappointed.
it.
I was like, wait a second, this is top flows and my name doesn't show up on this list. Something's wrong.
As you can tell by the appearance of some of these names, this is a demo tenant. We've also got our good friend Megan Bowen here. Also, she's not created any UI flows, which I think we might have to talk to her about an upskilling initiative there.
Yeah, Lydia is my account.
Nice. Man, you guys are crushing it. I need a fake account to load some flows in and get on the board.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then you can just 19 is not that difficult to beat, I think. So
That's true.
you've got a good chance of making it to the top.
New goals.
Yep. So this is really like an overview of what is going on. You can then dive deeper into the UI flows tab up here. And here, this is your area to get more familiar with the UI flows that you've got in your tenant. So you've got the overview here, but then we've also got usage, errors, the ability to perform risk assessments, and the ability to see UI flows that aren't used anymore, that haven't been run in a while, that may be ripe for archiving to create, to keep a clean tenant. So if you look at the UI flows overview, you've got the overview of when these flows have been created. So we've got some that were created with Windows and Web Recorder, and then in September here we've got some that were created with Power Automate Desktop. You can see through the integration with Office 365 the departments that are creating those UI flows. So if you remember, Lydia created 19 flows, and here you would see that Lydia is part. Obviously, it's all of Lydia's flows are part of that engineering department. But if you've got more makers, this would be a good way of identifying keen and eager departments that want to learn more, and you might be able to provide some targeted training to those departments. And then you've got a list of all of the UI flows across your environments. You can see the UI flow type. You can see when they were created, when they were last run, and the state. So is it published, or is it in a draft mode? So this again gives you like a good overview of what's going on there. And if you look, and from here, you can filter it down to only show a specific environment. So if you're worried about UI flows in the default environment, you could filter that down here to see if there's any in the default environment. Or you could, from here, I can identify UI flows that are using the new Power Automate Desktop capability there. Immediately, I've got, I can see that it's only Pranav who's used Power Automate Desktop. So I might reach out to Pranav and see if there's some lessons learned there that he would want to share with our maker community.
Lucky enough, he did that like last week.
So that's good. That's good. You're one step ahead of the report.
Yeah. This is great. I looked at the CoE desktop probably, I don't know, 8 months ago, if I'm being honest, probably the last time I touched it. And it has come a very long way. I mean, it's amazing to see the level of detail now and how many different tabs there are. This is fantastic.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I spend a lot of time on that dashboard, sometimes to a point where I dream about the dashboard. Or what's even worse, sometimes in my dreams I work on the dashboard, and then I get up in the morning and I open it and I'm upset that the changes haven't like really materialized. So yeah.
That's amazing. I love that.
I'm not sure if that's the level of obsession you were looking for, but I do care deeply about that
It's paying
dashboard.
off. It is paying off because it is a fantastic look into what's happening.
Thank you. Yeah, so the dashboard I would really consider as the heart of the CoE Starter Kit. So obviously there are some other apps and flows that that help with the adoption and administration, but that for many organizations, having that dashboard is the real selling point of installing the kit in the first place.
Yep. So for companies who maybe have not jumped in yet and are wondering, like, how does this all work? Can you talk a bit about the infrastructure and what they have to set up and how it works real quick?
Absolutely. One second, I'll just bring it up.
Sure.
Monday morning starts with restore my browser.
So the CoE Starter Kit is installed as a managed solution. So as I've said earlier, there are some different components to it. The core components is really the one where all of the administrative capabilities are in, and that's what powers the dashboard. So if you're new to it, that's what you would install. So you would download the solution and then import it to your environment. And then in the background, we've got a number of flows that are called sync template, and they sync your tenant resources into CDS entities in that environment. So the sync template RPA syncs the UI flow data into the environment, and then UI flow runs, picks up the session details and the failures, etc. And then all of that gets stored in entities that are part of the solution. So there's the RPA entity and the RPA sessions entity, and then the dashboard is connected to that environment and picks up the data. But if you want to look at the raw data, you could go into one of these entities. And then under the data tab, you can see what exactly we store there. And because all of that is part of that entity, you could then build your own applications or your own flows on top of that data.
That is awesome. Very, very cool. I like that. It's great because a lot of people might not even be using the Common Data Service, and this could be their first introduction. And what a good one, really, to see entities properly set up, to see data synced from wherever you're living into the Common Data Service. It's a great introduction that way too.
Yeah, and obviously the way it all is related with each other. So we've got like a maker entity, and that maker entity is related to all of the other resource entities like the Power Apps, the Flow, the RPA, and that creates that relationship. So I'll be able to tell which maker has created which resources and which resource has been created by which maker. And the same goes obviously for environment and connectors. So you'll be able to see which flow is using which connector.
Nice. Very, very cool. So I think one thing I'd love to point out about this is, this is a tool that can be used a couple of different ways, right? I think when some people see this, they're going to see control. I can finally control everything. Ha ha ha. But I think that the greater lesson here actually is one of empowerment. I think that Kent gives a great talk, and he talks about how you enable every person in the organization to use these tools by creating proper governance, by creating proper transparency. And I think that really, if that's the goal, then that is where you get the most out of these tools, right? Where if you're looking at how you can understand the environment and empower users and identify those top makers, and yet do it in a way that is not putting the organization at risk, everybody truly wins. And so I know when a lot of people look at this, they're going to say, that little voice inside is going to pop up about controlling everything. But I just want to say that when I look at this, I see a way for visibility so that you can really understand what's happening and not control it, but empower it, but really give the ability to people to go make things because you know what's happening and you're not at risk.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And that's there's also a focus on identifying those makers, so the ability to say, for example, Megan, she's used 29 different connectors. So clearly she's an advanced maker. She understands all of these different connectors, down to someone like Ben, who's only used the SQL Server connector. So they might not be familiar with CDS or with the other deep integration that you get in Flow. So the ability to identify those and identify upskilling needs, but also identify internal champions and highlight them, share their stories, inspire other makers internally, I think is really powerful. And you can only do that obviously by having the visibility of that. And the real goal of that dashboard is not for you to lock it down, but for you to be able to open it up by being comfortable in the knowledge that you know what's going on.
I love it. That is awesome. This is really great, Manuela.
Thank you. We try.
Very cool.
We try.
Awesome. Okay, so for those of you guys at home who want to get started with the CoE Starter Kit, go ahead and check the description. I will have a whole bunch of good links down there for you, where you can download it, where you can check the documentation, where you can get plugged into our community to ask questions. I'll have links to some other videos that live right on this channel. So go ahead and get yourself dove into the CoE Starter Kit. Manuela's on Twitter. If you have questions, that's a great place to hit her. I'll go ahead and link her down in the description as well. Sorry, Manuela, to throw you under the bus there to everybody, but great way to be connected and get some additional feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love getting feedback on Twitter, or so the starter kit lives on GitHub, and obviously there's the tab there as well to provide to share issues or provide feedback as well. But yeah, Twitter is a good way to reach me, and I'm really happy to receive feedback on how to further enhance the kit, but also learn how you're using it in your organization.
Awesome. All right, Kent, Pranav, any final comments before we say goodbye?
No, that was great. Thanks for joining us on this episode.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, you guys know what to do. Go ahead and click like, click subscribe so that you don't miss another episode. That's all from us. We'll see you in the next one.